living tableau, animated portraits and statues. P.B Randolph, sexual magic. Under certain conditions and with scrupulous accomplishment of the magical work, the principle of which will be given in this chapter, one can animate, that is to say, render truly alive portraits and statues, with a view to influencing one or several senses of a particular man or woman. The influence that one projects in this way may be mental or physical, it does not matter. The doctrine of magically animated tableaux is not new. In the Middle Ages, certain painters knew it very well and applied it artfully, but one also mentions cases where the human magnetic fluid became concentrated of itself upon an old portrait, forgotten in the corner of a room of some feudal chateau, where, in the course of the monotonous years, scenes of violent passion took place. One does not say as much of certain sacred paintings done on the walls of Christian churches. They suddenly became animated and worked real miracles. Obviously, the will of the wise man, initiated into the mysteries of the great magical art, can do better and more surely than mere fortuitous adventure. The wizards and sorcerers of past centuries knew this, and they studied the problem in depth. They teach in the writings that have been found that a painting in poppy oil in a golden frame gives astonishing results, because the poppy oil is an excellent fluid condenser and the golden frame a perfect insulator. Fixed to the wall of a church where believing people often kneel, or hung from the silk tenting of a salon where dreams and violent passions are exalted, an artistic work becomes, little by little, a true center of life, because the oil retains human currents, and the golden frame keeps them from escaping. We are aware, as is everyone, that some charlatans and persons of bad faith have profited from this verified truth to gain money shamefully, fooling too credulous clients. But what is true, nevertheless. We possess in our lodge several authentic grimoires which deal abundantly with this subject. When we read these old writings, it sometimes seems to us that the harsh eye of the real magic of the male casts its terrifying gaze upon us. We read, for example, in certain formulas, that a mixture of colors, to which has been added the blood of a fetus torn from the belly of its mother by the operation of the cross, is of surprising effectiveness. Other formulas tell us that one gives formidable power to a living tableau if one mixes into its colors a few drops of blood of a pure virgin, offered after to that pleasure of the succubus. There are some drugs recommended to painters which contain a human magnetic charge worked on the basis of solitary excitation. Their effect is particularly malefic. Human folly made use of them in the Dark Ages to perpetrate mysterious assassinations. An enemy masked by the kindness of the gift offered sent death in the succubic tableau, and the person, beneficiary of the gift, who hung the portrait in their living room, died from it soon afterward. The Holy Inquisition tried to put an end to these frightful abuses, burning the manuscripts of the wizards and persecuting magicians. All magical science could have disappeared in the fierce reaction of Catholicism, but fortunately for us and the future of humanity, there were always some philosophers who were able to guard the secret and act under cover of the revengeful hand. Those cultivated the magical art for the good cause of initiatic knowledge. So it is that one of our brothers who lived in Spain in the first half of the 18th century was able to recover some manuscripts containing the formulas and advice of the great importance. That brother devoted 10 years of his life to this study and research. He conscientiously subjected to experiments everything that he was able to find on the subject of the theory and the fabrication of living tableaux. And upon his death he left a testament to the Eulis Brotherhood, which contained marvelous formulas for the preparation of simple but powerful drugs, of which we still make use today. In the course of his busy life, our brother had himself also constructed some animated portraits, of which he gave us the key. The benefic magical action that he was able to deploy through such fame to him that the crowds constantly assailed his small cottage to ask him for advice and cures. This brother, who was of such great merit, was murdered by religious fanatics. You may read below an extract of his testament, of which we have only suppressed a few passages that were too intimate. Extract of the testament of our brother Charsa. My long theoretical studies concerning living tableaux were at first unfruitful. The rare tableau that I succeeded in animating died quickly, and the phantoms that I called up did not have the faculties that I wished. I varied my models. I tried the most powerful fluid condensers, but in vain. I did not obtain what I wanted. But one day, thanks to a happy chance, I was able to ascertain that the son of one of our peasants, who every day made an ardent prayer in Spanish in front of an image of the Madonna, involuntarily became, through that, her succubus. I then had the solution I was looking for to the problem. I went to the painter who had made his holy image, and I learned that the model who had served him for this painting was a courtesan of strong passions. The painter amused himself with her during his hours of rest, on a bed in his studio, in front of the easel. The artist was not wealthy. To save the little money he had, he did not buy canvas for this tableau, ordered by the son of the peasant, but he painted it on a square that he cut from the sheet of his bed of love. This detail struck me, and I had then, for the first time, the idea of the individual perfume. I then applied myself to seeking the formula for the drug. According to the data of the astrological correspondences, this was a difficult task, which kept me busy for several months. I spent a lot of time going over some old grimoires again, in which the essential things are hidden in floods of almost useless details. But having found the treasures of this antique science, I had no trouble with the rest of the work. I soon persuaded myself that it was completely useless to make use of corneous substances such as hair and fingernails, for the debris of human flesh dies rapidly, and if one cannot replace it in the course of the work, all of one's trouble is in vain. Not to mention that, for the reconstruction of old paintings, these materials cannot be found, while the individual perfume can be prepared as well by a living person and as by a person who is long since dead. In exactly observing all the rules that we summarize below, one infallibly gets the phantom that one wishes. If the result is not correct, it is because there has been an error, either in the formula of the drug, in the astrological calculations, or in the drawing, or the expression, or the colors of the tableau. It is certain that the reconstruction of a living tableau according to the retrograde astrological chart, based on the proportional data of the portrait, is a work that requires great patience. In addition to the technical approach, it also requires considerable initiatic sense, and this is not an art that one learns comfortably. We recommend to the student who is not sufficiently sure of himself that he get the help of a psychologist. In the art of reconstruction of living tableaux, it is necessary to distinguish 4 different cases. A. The portrait done after a living model, the detail of whose birth chart one knows. B. The portrait done after the astrological details of an unknown person from the past, present, or from the future of a particular race. C. The portrait of a known person from the past or present. D. The portrait, old or modern, already done, but which is to be reanimated. Special conditions for each of the 4 cases mentioned. A. The portrait done after a living model, the details of whose birth chart one knows. 1. One will first of all determine the rapport of the resulting forces in the birth chart and prepare, according to the data obtained, the individual perfume of the person in question, and the oil, which will serve for mixing the colors. Do not forget to macerate all plants used in boiling oil for at least 2 minutes. 2. The cloth used for canvas must be linen or hemp, but never silk. It is necessary to cut it in good dimensions for a portrait of natural size. 3. Do the background of the painting first, which must be of the individual color of the model. 4. Use the oil prepared according to the indications of paragraph 1 only for the figure and the clothes. 5. When the tableau is dry, repeat the same figure on the back, but as negative. 6. The contours of the figure that is painted on the back of the tableau must be filled in with fluid condenser. This work must be done by artificial light of the individual color of the model. From then on, one works all the time by this same light. 7. When the painting on the back of the tableau is dry, cover it with a living layer, prepared according to the indications given for magic mirrors. 8. The image thus obtained will be polished on glass containing gold or covered with a layer of amalgam, where the silver will have been replaced by gold. Immediately after, cover the negative with a tissue of natural silk. 9. Put the tableau into a heavy gilded frame. B. The portrait done after the astrological details of an unknown person from the past, from the present, from the future of a particular race. The preparation of an animated portrait of an unknown person from the past, from the present, or from the future of a determined race and in conformity to the astrological details of the birth chart requires the same operation as we have already indicated for the preparation of a portrait after a living model, with the single difference that the proportions of the drawing and the expression of the face will be found according to the birth chart, which will also indicate the color of the hair and the eyes, the shade of the skin, and so forth. This work cannot be accomplished except by an astrologer of the first order. It is further necessary that the painter who gives himself a task of this comprehensiveness should be an experienced typologist, and that he not let himself be influenced by any living model. A great artist, a great typologist, and a great astrologer must come together in the same person to perfectly realize a work of this category.